I am curious to see where it falls in your Nolan ranking though.
Oh, I can. I mean, I could tell you. I can pull up my letterbox right now. I did put it
Yeah.
in there because I'm a nerd and I like to make thousands upon thousands of lists. Do you have a lot of lists on Letterbox, or is that just me?
Uh, I've got like a few pages worth of lists, I'd say.
Yeah, I have like
Yeah.
almost 100 lists. I'm obsessed.
Oh.
I'm obsessed with lists. Welcome back to Starship Cinema. This is the podcast where we review movies, discuss their cultural impact, the art of cinema, and everything in between. I am your host aboard this vessel, Vince Salerno, and today I'm joined by not my lovely wife and co-host Kate. I'm joined by my very good friend and fellow film lover, Tyler Banark. Welcome, Tyler.
Thank you, Vince. I may not be as good as your wife, but I'm glad I was able to come back and you let me come back for this.
Yeah, not as good looking, no offense.
None taken.
I mean, you are good looking, but you know,
Yeah, no, I see what you mean. I know what you mean.
I like
Yeah.
women. um, on today's show, we are talking about one of the biggest movies of the year, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, which, frankly, after seeing the film, I think is what they should have named this movie. For those of you who don't know what The Odyssey is, it is well, it's a book, it's a poem by Homer. It is one of the greatest and most influential pieces of literature in culture and pop culture. It has literally influenced hundreds of stories, movies, and there have been multiple adaptations of it, reinterpretations of the text, some to not so great degree, but
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan chose to make a adaptation of this legendary classic, and it is insane how big this movie is. It has already passed $1 billion. I think it is his highest grossing film.
Yeah, I think
If I
it's
Is
definitely on
that right?
track to be. I think it's on track to become his highest grossing film of all time. I think.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. It stars the greatest actor of all time, Matt Damon, or at least my personal favorite actor. It stars Tom
Yeah.
Holland, Anne Hathaway, Robert Pattinson. Um, uh, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting his name. Who plays his second in command? Um,
John Leguizamo, John Bernthal, Lupita Nyong'o,
Himesh.
Zendaya, Charlize Theron, like literally everybody in Hollywood is in this movie.
Yeah. Who's his second in command though?
Himesh
Himesh.
Patel.
Himesh Patel. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I,
yeah,
I thought it was Patel. I didn't want to be wrong. Yeah. Literally everyone and their mom is in this movie. Zendaya. I don't know if we mentioned Zendaya. Like
yep,
pretty much half the cast of Spider-Man: Brand New Day is in this movie.
yeah, pretty
Uh,
much.
it is the summer of Tom Holland, John Bernthal, and Zendaya, and I'm totally here for it.
Me too.
So I wanted first off, Tyler, welcome. This is your first solo episode on the podcast. Tyler was on multiple episodes of the Vince Salerno podcast before we shut that down and switched over to this, and I feel like we're kind of in your full proper wheelhouse because we're not just like talking
Yeah.
about movies and pop culture. We're actually talking about and reviewing movies for once, and
hmm
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, and what better filmmaker to start this off on than one of my favorites of all time, Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I'm really glad we started out with this.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. And
uh,
Tyler was on the the Toy Story 5 spoiler discussion. If you guys want to check that out, I'll link that in this episode for you guys to listen back to. Yeah, Christopher Nolan. I love Christopher Nolan. I think he's one of the greatest filmmakers of our generation. But it goes without saying, yeah, that you are a huge fan of Christopher Nolan and his
oh
work.
yeah,
I think when we first met, that was the guy that we were really hitting it off about.
yeah, yeah. No, yeah. I mean, Christopher Nolan's been like one of my favorite filmmakers ever since I got into movies. I think I remember the first movie I saw of his in theaters where like I would consider myself a fan was Dunkirk, and I remember seeing that in theaters. I remember seeing Tenet. In fact, Vince, I remember the other day do you remember back in 2020 when me and you saw I drove all the way from Lincoln to Omaha. We saw Inception for a re-release for its 10th anniversary, and they had like a sneak peek of Tenet.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Dude, I remember that. That was so fun.
Mm-hmm.
Dude,
Yeah.
COVID was such a wild time. Just being in that theater in that particular situation was crazy. And then also like being really amped for Tenet. I mean, like that was like the movie of the year. Not that there was really much coming out that year anyways, but like that was the movie to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like not very many people were brave enough to venture out and see it. I think we had a pretty sizable crowd in the Inception screening.
Yeah, I think so. For August of 2020, it was not full, but like it was more people than what you probably would have expected.
Right. I remember when I saw Tenet on like a Thursday night at 8 p.m. and I was like one of 5 people in the theater.
Okay.
It was pretty crazy. I have to rewatch Tenet because I was a little frustrated by it because I really didn't understand. I still don't understand it fully, but
yeah,
it's such a fun movie. It is an experience. Like a lot of all of Christopher Nolan's films, they are experiences, but like they really challenge your mind to like wrap your head around the concepts that he does. And I think I was most excited for Tenet because it felt like a spiritual sequel to Inception, which is still to date my favorite Nolan film.
Yeah.
But the Odyssey, following up his Oscar wins with Oppenheimer, which I thought was incredibly well deserved. I didn't love everything about Oppenheimer, but I did think it was very good. Did think it was like rarely do I think these days that most films that get nominated for Oscars actually deserve them. But for once, I was like, okay, Oppenheimer genuinely deserves Cillian Murphy, Christopher Nolan, Best Picture, like give it all. Like at this point, it's kind of like an honorary Oscar for like, hey, sorry we didn't give it to you like several movies ago. Like, sorry we didn't give you a Best Picture nom for The Dark Knight.
Yeah. But yeah, the Odyssey. I think we both we're both pretty much on board with like how we feel about it, right?
Yeah. Well, I think we're gonna have an interesting conversation because I didn't even ask you. Have you read the book?
No, I have not read the book.
Okay, then this is going to be interesting because you will have had the perspective of having not read the book and experiencing the movie, and I will have the perspective of having read it twice. I'm currently in the middle of my my reread of the book.
Okay.
And so I'm very familiar with the original text. I actually had to study it in college, and then I wanted to reread the book for the movie. But let's start with you, from your perspective, having not read the book and just loving Christopher Nolan. What did you think of the movie?
Yeah, so I think I think The Odyssey is easily one of Christopher Nolan's best movies. I'd say like it's probably when I first saw it, I immediately thought my gut reaction was okay, perfect movie. Top 3 Nolan, but then I was like, okay, let me back off here. Let me give this a rewatch and see what happens. And luckily, when I rewatched it, it held up, and it was just as good as I remembered it to be. And yeah, it's still I think it's Christopher Nolan's third best behind The Dark Knight and Inception.
Wow.
And yeah, and I also had the honor when I first saw it opening weekend. I had the honor of seeing it in IMAX 70 millimeter. With my girlfriend and a couple of our friends. Oh wait, hold on. I don't know if you can see it, but
oh shoot, yeah, it's kind of hard
it's
to
like
see,
but yeah, like it's
tickets.
It's like 2 giant tickets saying like first screening of the Odyssey IMAX 70 millimeter in the theater that we saw it at. Basically, is what it was.
How far did you have to drive to get to see it in 70 millimeter?
So it's a funny story. So like July 17th of 2025. IMAX and Universal announced that tickets went on sale for the Odyssey and IMAX 70 millimeter like a year in advance.
Oh
And
yeah, I
me being
remember
the
that.
Nolan fan I am, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna look see what ticket prices are looking like, or like how close we can get. And like I saw first I looked at Dallas, the Cinemark in Dallas, and
Mm.
those were gone almost immediately. And then I looked at the next close place, which was the Regal Opry Mills in Nashville, and they had a couple left for the 7 o'clock on Friday night, and I immediately grabbed those. And I
Nice.
texted my girlfriend Noelle. I was like, "Hey, I got tickets to see the Odyssey in IMAX 70 millimeter a year from now." And she's like, "Oh, that's cool." I'm like, "No, babe, I got them for us."
No, you don't get it.
Yeah, and so like we planned a whole weekend trip going to Nashville. I had a friend who I met who I met in France last year. He lives there. I met him. I hung out with him. We stayed at him and his girlfriend's place, and we spent the whole weekend, just exploring Nashville. And one of the things we did was we saw the Odyssey in IMAX 70 millimeter, and it was absolutely incredible. It was an amazing experience. I remember it was just like Vince. I don't know if you've ever seen a movie on film, but like usually whenever I see a movie on film, I know it's like little dots and crackles that appear on the screen, and like usually
Love
that's
it.
like it's just
Love
little
it.
little idiosyncrasy that I think is really cool, just because it shows that hey, like you're watching a movie on film. And when I saw the Odyssey, I barely noticed that, and I'm like, wow, that I haven't noticed it, but it goes to show like how crisp the picture looks, and
Mm.
it was remarkable because like that's how Christopher Nolan shot the movie, like to be in that format. And
Yeah.
so,
Gosh, that's so
but
cool,
yeah,
man.
it was incredible to see it like
That's
that.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love film grain for days. I have not had the pleasure of seeing a movie in on film, but I do live by a one of the few theaters in this country that does film. It does show films at 70 millimeter. So I think they have extended the release for the 70 millimeter prints. So I
Yeah.
might try to. I think they've extended it through September. So I'm going to see if I can maybe get one in because I like the movie enough to go see it again. But that's really cool that you got to experience that. I got to watch it in plain old IMAX. But even then,
That's all. I mean, that's also great. That's also
yeah,
good
yeah,
enough.
yeah.
So
It's like the second best, and
yeah.
gosh, like I love IMAX. It is my preferred format. And this movie did not disappoint. It was the first movie since maybe The Dark Knight Rises that I mean not that I mean well what did I see I sorry yes since seeing Inception I think where I felt like okay this was made for IMAX and like
Yeah.
you really get like the full immersion. The sound was just like assaulting but in the best way possible. The
Yeah.
picture
Yeah.
was I love it when you have that full picture. I love a letterbox, but I love the widescreen format, but
Mhm.
if I can just have the full raw uncut picture, I kind of prefer that. And there's a reason why they do that. Because usually if you've seen like the 35 millimeter prints of like Spider-Man, the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man, there's a shot where Green Goblin is flipping through the air to punch Spider-Man, and you can see the trampoline that Willem Dafoe bounces on without the letterbox. So that stuff's important, and then
Yeah.
it serves its purpose. But like, man,
Mhm.
I love an open mat. It's just
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
Um,
It,
but yeah, I really liked the movie. I can't say I loved it or that it was perfect. I've actually been kind of wrestling with my thoughts on the film because I am such a purist when it comes to the text. This movie takes a lot of liberties with the book. And I've really been struggling to decide if it really pays off or not. So, not having read the book, when you think of like the Odyssey, what in the story do you think is the actual Odyssey?
I think all the different incidents that we see Odysseus put his crew through, whether it's the Cyclops, the Sirens, Circe the witch. I think I'm guessing all of that was in the text. If I had to
Yeah.
guess one thing that wasn't, um, I would say probably. I think I heard somewhere that like the whole side plot with Athena, being watching over Odysseus. I'm guessing that wasn't part of it.
No, it
Um,
is actually. In fact,
it is okay.
it is a lot more pronounced in the book. Basically, Athena has a much bigger role in the book, and she basically orchestrates Odysseus's journey home. Only because
Okay.
Zeus has pity on Odysseus and allows Athena to intervene.
Okay.
Yeah, the actual, at least for me, the actual Odyssey is it's like everything they took out of the book, or took out of the movie.
Mhm.
The way the book is structured, it starts out the same way as the movie starts out. It starts out with Telemachus in his home with all the suitors, and they're waiting for Penelope to pick a husband, and he brings in a beggar and feeds him. Well, that beggar is supposed to be Athena in disguise, and she orchestrates Telemachus going to see Menelaus, John Bernthal's character, to find
Huh.
out what happened to Odysseus. And then
Okay.
it goes to Odysseus on the island with Calypso, where he's been uh, basically held captive there for years because Calypso has fallen in love with him.
Hmm.
And because the gods have no presence in this book, in the movie, the gods actually have a big role in the book, and they're basically watching this whole thing play out, and they're like, it's like spectator sport for them. It's like,
Yeah.
love. It's like their Love Island. I don't
Hmm.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
And so Athena wants to help Odysseus get home. She begs Zeus to have pity on him, and then Zeus agrees, and so she Zeus sends Hermes to tell Calypso to let Odysseus go. She refuses, but then she eventually is convinced. And then Athena orchestrates Odysseus's journey home.
Mhm.
And then I'm not trying to get bogged down in the details, but basically he goes on the raft. The raft gets destroyed. He's lost at sea, and then he washes up on this island these people. I think they believe it's pronounced the Phoenicians. They are like the sea people that are referenced in the movie,
Mhm.
and Athena disguises herself as somebody who orchestrates the Phoenicians to help Odysseus. They clothe him, they bathe him, they give him all these gifts before he departs, and then they ask him. He doesn't reveal his name, but then they're like, "Okay,
Yeah.
you got to tell us who you are." And then he tells them, "Well, I'm Odysseus, leader of Troy." Um, and then from there, he tells the story of the Trojan War, or the Trojan horse, his journey home with Circe, the Cyclops, and all the side, and everything that delayed him from getting home, the shipwreck, all the way up to Calypso. And
Yeah.
then from there, he makes it back home, and the rest of the movie continues. Oops, sorry, my computer doing crazy things. Um, so like the actual Odyssey, at least in my opinion, like what is the Odyssey is like completely cut out of the actual movie, which I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. However, and we'll cut back to you because I've been talking a lot, but I do think that this movie justifies many of the changes it makes from the book, in spite my initial gripes with that.
Okay. Yeah. So let me ask you this. So one creative liberty that I know that Nolan took from the movie was that the character of Sinon was not he's the character Sinon is not in the Odyssey, but he's in another popular Greek book. But
Mm-hmm.
is the character of Agamemnon, is he in the actual book? And if so, like, is he that whole Hades scene that where they're at, where like Odysseus meets like all of his dead soldiers, and he talks to Agamemnon, and Agamemnon tells him how he dies. Like, is that all in? Is that in the book too?
Yes, I believe it is in the book. Yeah, if you're
Okay.
referring to Ellen Page's character, um, yeah, uh, yeah, I believe that character is actually supposed to be Achilles, but they changed it to be whatever her character's name was. I forget the name, but oh, sorry, my
Sinon, I think was his name in the movie.
right, Sinon. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sinon, yeah.
Agamemnon, yes, is in the book, and I think everything that transpires with him sacrificing his only child to the gods and Helen of Troy, or not Helen of Troy, but her sister,
Yeah.
getting revenge on him is in the book, because I think it's supposed to, and this is actually something pulled from the book that they adapt very well. Agamemnon kind of mirrors Odysseus in a way.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a little bit of an opposite, because just based on the fact that like Odysseus has a loyal, loving wife and son, and Agamemnon, his sin was what he did to his child, and he paid the price for that by his own death. And so he's giving a warning to Odysseus, like, go home, but also go home in hiding. Don't reveal yourself right away. See what's going on. Make sure that like your son and your wife have not turned on you, and like make sure that no one's transpiring to kill you. So yeah, that is part of it. The Hades scene is part of it. I like what they did with that. Really great cinematography there. I think that was I don't remember where they shot that. I read it somewhere today, and I'm forgetting.
I think I did hear somewhere that they had that like a lot of the extras that they had like for that scene like were actually buried alive, and like they like were using like straws like to stick out of the ground so they could breathe, and yeah, like once like they were buried underground for a certain amount of time before they rose up, and like they had to time it to be precise, time it precisely so that no one like was suffocated or like was truly buried alive. But yeah, I thought there's a lot of great scenes in this movie, but yeah, that scene in particular really I think stood out to me a lot. So
yeah, no, that was definitely a beautiful scene.
Yeah,
the way it was shot. Sorry, I'm trying to shut off my notifications. I don't know why I'm getting all these texts and stuff. Anyways, yeah. So, Odysseus's journey from the end of the Trojan War to him ending up on Calypso's island, I think that is all true to the book for the most part. There's a lot of other side quests that are taken out, but like with Circe the witch, the Cyclops. I mean, the Cyclops is like the most iconic thing from the Odyssey. If you're adapting the Odyssey and you don't put the Cyclops in there, what are you even doing?
Yeah.
Which I gotta say was like really impressive the way they did that. I know that they said that they used a giant puppet inside this really gross smelling cave.
Yeah,
but I have to believe. Yeah, but I have to believe they used some level of CGI, because there is no way that thing, being as lifelike as it was 100% a puppet.
Never doubt Christopher Nolan. He's very anti CGI. I mean, from what I've heard, a lot of the effects in this movie were basically practical, and like how he pulled it off, I don't know.
I would be very curious. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think.
I mean, hey, look, if I find out that he used miniatures and like if that's actually I forget the actor's name, but the guy whoever plays the Cyclops.
Bill Irwin, I think is his name.
Bill Irwin, yes, thank you. If that was actually Bill Irwin that they shot on a practical stage and they superimposed him into the scene, props, because that's freaking cool. That's filmmaking for you, and that's the stuff I live for.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm trying to think. What'd you think of I want to touch on the whole rated choice scenes, both from the one where when Menelaus tells it, and from when we get Odysseus like confesses it to Penelope, and like how like he like we learn from like his side, because I think both those scenes were both incredibly well done.
So you like mean the taking of Troy from like the more like pulled back, like the wider perspective of like seeing it for the first time versus Odysseus recounting it to Penelope in disguise, you mean?
Yep. So like those two scenes. So like basically like when we see Odysseus and Menelaus and all the men inside the Trojan horse and how like they bring it up to Troy and like how them like sneaking out of the horse and eventually like getting inside the walls of Troy to and like trying to like get like the gate open and unlocked in time and all that. Like I thought that was absolutely I thought that had to be my favorite scene in the whole movie because like not only was that part like really well done, but like Ludwig Göransson's score, like he stretches out like a whole like
Yeah.
I mean it's been like a week since I listened to the score, but like he like I don't know how he did, but like he stretches out like a whole like build up for like 5 minutes and somehow doesn't like it somehow doesn't get old and then it climaxes into another it hits a climax and it's like on a cliffhanger and then it cuts to another song and it just it was just so captivating.
Yeah.
So like that
The
scene.
the
Yeah.
yeah, it's incredible to build up with like the drums and they're trying to open the gate and all that and they're trying to fend off the Trojans and all that. Yeah, that's great. And then Agamemnon in his Darth Vader costume. I heard somebody say that online and I can't get it out of my head now. Agamemnon looks like Darth Vader.
Yeah, it's just
I
like
just
and
thought, dude, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
yeah, like Ben, I don't know how much Ben Safdie got paid for that movie, but I'm pretty sure he was eating that up. Just the fact that all he had to do was just stand in that giant suit, giant black suit, and just walk around, not say a single word. And
Bro,
the only
you
time
have
he
to
talks
fight.
is during the Hades scene. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when he's dead. It's so crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and then like going over to like Odysseus, telling the raid to Penelope, like his perspective. It really got me thinking. Between this movie and Oppenheimer, I think like Nolan's kind of going on a trend where like we're seeing him make movies about where someone who accomplishes something, but and their whole mindset is okay, I won, but at what cost?
Yeah.
Because we saw in Oppenheimer, J. Robert Oppenheimer, he invented the atomic bomb, but what was the cost? They won the World War. They won the World War.
They won the war.
But the cost was, now people want to, create nuclear weapons.
They put the power, put atomic power in play, and now it's
exactly.
It's like basically everyone's on their toes because everyone's trying to create a nuclear bomb.
Yeah,
or an atomic bomb.
Yeah, and then for the Odyssey, I think Odysseus had a plan to raid Troy, and they won the war because of it, but it costed him so much because the journey home, he lost his choices made him lose hundreds of thousands of men and like all their lives and so like I mean like yeah like do you kind of see where I'm coming from, Vince?
I do, and I'm glad you brought this up because I think that was the one thing that really bugged me is the way they portrayed Troy. At least when Matt Damon, and gosh, after that monologue, give him the Oscar. Like just hand it to him, just mail it to him. I don't need a ceremony, just give him the Oscar. But I agree with you. Like I did see that parallel of great men achieving great things, but at a cost. And I don't know if it works very well in the Odyssey because the Trojan War is not portrayed as some sort of like, we shouldn't have done this was a mistake. The Trojan War was like, I believe this is how it's portrayed in the book, but like if the Greeks didn't fight against the Trojans, the Greeks were going, or if the Greeks didn't fight against the Trojans were going to destroy them. Like it's either kill or be killed, basically.
Yeah.
And they keep invoking this like the law of Zeus, which I guess in a way is supposed to be like God, like Christianity. Because I do think that this movie takes a sort of realistic approach to the story of the Odyssey, which some say is controversial, but it kind of takes a biblical Christian approach to the theology of the Odyssey, which I, as a Catholic, I can really appreciate. Like treat others how you would like to be treated, show kindness to others because you don't know who you're being unkind to, or in the case of the movie, they say, you don't know if you're being unkind to a god, and in most cases, it's Athena.
Yeah.
But the way they portray Troy as like this thing where it's like we raided this town, or we raided Troy, and we broke Zeus's law. And it's like, okay, but that's not technically true because you were gonna die. You guys are gonna be raided and pillaged in virtually the same way if you didn't do this. So
Yeah.
that's where the messaging gets a little muddled. But like, if like ignoring that comparison from the book and just taking the movie at face value, I really do like the idea, especially now, and not to get political, but like, we're in a climate where, we're kind of getting tired of the unjust wars, and our president said there's not going to be any more wars, and then he went and started something with Israel and Iran, and again, not to get political, but that definitely bugs me, and the idea that like we Odysseus feels the burden of a soldier, entering into this conflict and seeing hell on earth, basically. Women and children alongside men being slaughtered. And it kind of culminates when you realize that the face of Athena is actually this Trojan woman who was slaughtered, that Odysseus faced down, and like that is the face of Athena that has been seared into his brain. So whenever he thinks of or sees Athena, he sees that woman. So it's like his guilt of what he did, leading him to regret his decisions. And I guess a little to what you said, like he's also mourning the fact that he lost his men along the way, not just in the war, but in the journey home. I was talking to, I have to shout out my friend Christian Griffith. He and I were talking over the past week, and he brought up a really interesting point.
Okay.
He says that he doesn't think Odysseus wants to go home. He is constantly wasting time because he knows that if he goes home, he has to face the consequences of his actions. He has to face the fact that he did these atrocious things, and that he can't really live with that. So he wastes his time insulting, defying the gods, trying to test the gods and his fate, taking control of his own fate by raiding and trying to get food from all these different places, and assaulting cyclopses and playing around with witches. Going to the land of the dead. It's like he doesn't really. Part of him thinks he doesn't really want to go home. What do you think of that?
That's an interesting perspective. I never really thought of that. But it kind of does make sense, given like you don't see, it doesn't really that perspective. Like I see where your reference is coming from, but yeah, I mean, I guess like that perspective doesn't really come into play until like the monologue, and then when that monologue, and you think, okay, maybe he didn't want to go home because like maybe because then like he would probably face the repercussions. But yeah, I think yeah, I mean, I part of me thinks that Odysseus feels more guilty about his like everything the trek he went through to get home, and like all that stuff, more than the war. But then we see his monologue, and then it's like, okay, maybe that there's that too.
Yeah.
But the whole idea of like him avoiding trying to go home. I mean, I think I can see where some people might get that perspective, but I personally, I don't know if I that's the way I see it, but I do see where you're coming from, if that's how you interpret it.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say that's what I necessarily agree with, but I thought it was a very interesting analysis. This movie is really, there's a lot to chew on, and I described the movie as a 5-course meal. because I feel like after getting out of it, I was like, oh my gosh, that was a feast. Like there's
Yeah.
so much you can pull from that. It
Oh
might
yeah.
even be, um, I don't know if I give the edge to this or to Oppenheimer as far as it being Christopher Nolan's most complex movie, because there's just so much. Um, but I think when you take the biblical approach to the biblical Christian approach to this, um, it's also a movie about a man trying to test God and to put his fate in his own hands. Like he constantly is saying, "I defy the gods. The gods have nothing on me. No one will stand between me and the home, not even the gods." Because he is very, and this is in the book. Odysseus is very prideful.
Yeah.
He's a very prideful character. He thinks himself high and mighty. He thinks himself invincible to a degree that, in fact, in the book, he is referred to multiple times as godlike Odysseus, because he is this like incredible person. Like he's incredibly cunning and clever, and the way he evades situations, which this movie doesn't really portray him to be that way, except for a few key scenes.
Mhm.
Um, and he's just a great warrior.
Yeah.
And in this they really play up his pride, but it's ultimately his pride and his stubbornness that get his men killed and leave him delayed extensively to get home. And it's
Yeah.
once he is humbled that he is ready to go home. And I love when Calypso allows him to leave, and she says, like, let the gods lead you home. And it's very much like, you can't determine your own fate. Only God can determine your fate. So you have to let go of your need to control and let God carry you. And then
Mhm.
again, we cut to like half of the book cut out, and then he washes up on the shores of Ithaca.
Yeah.
um, but I do think like there is just a lot to chew on, and that I think is the most compelling thing is Odysseus's ego. Um, I think the best way for me to enjoy the movie is to really uh just, I guess in my way, like surrender to my need to for it to be like a faithful adaptation of the book. Because I think I said this at the top of the show. They should rename this movie Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, because it is very much his interpretation, his unique view. I mean, that he opens it with this kind of Star Warsy line at the beginning, in a time of apparent magic, which establishes that this is a world where mythological creatures exist. Yes, maybe the gods exist, but it's done in a really grounded way. The only thing that is really fantastical, and even then it's done in a really grounded way, is
Yeah.
the Cyclops, Circe, the mermaids, or the sirens, and the whirlpool scene.
Yeah.
Like even like Zeus is represented by lightning constantly
Hmm.
throughout the film. Athena only appears to Odysseus and Odysseus alone in the form of Zendaya. There's really nothing else that is like very like extremely mythical, which is very much in line with Christopher Nolan. Like even like sci-fi concepts or something like the world of Batman, which is inherently um there's like body horror and like science gone wrong and science fiction elements in Batman, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Portrays it all with complete and utter sincerity and realism.
Yeah.
And I think if you can get if you can accept that, this is a much more enjoyable film than people who, like I was initially, are mourning that this is not like a faithful adaptation of the Odyssey.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's definitely he definitely knows how to make something that's like, sci-fi or fantasy or like something nerdy and like make it grounded. I mean, look at the Dark Knight trilogy. I mean, that's probably the most grounded piece of like comic book movies that I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, like so like, even look at something like that or something like Inception where like he's like toying with the concept like what dreams can be, or like or Tenet, and like how like
Time
being placed in a
inversion.
world where everything's where you are inverted and like everything is moving backwards in real time. And he knows that he really goes he's not as afraid to like you know take something usual and like have like a little twist to it. And that's what I admire so much about him, is that like, you know, he's unafraid, he's fearless, and it took him, you know, he's been around for at least 25 years. He's been making movies for at least 25 years, and like he had to like grow, so he had to get his thin to be so thick. And I think he's at a point in his career now where like, you know, his skin is so thick that like whenever someone tries to, you know, criticize him for something, he just flicks it off his shoulder and like, you know, isn't even fazed by it.
Yeah, I think good filmmakers don't let criticisms phase them. It's hard because, you know, you're trying to appease, you're trying to sell your movie to a you want everyone to enjoy it as much as possible. But if you get bogged down by like, oh gosh, well, I people didn't like when I did that, I don't know if I should do that again, and you make a big public stink about it, like so many people do on social media.
Yeah.
I think that's like, it's just a waste of time. Just like, let your art speak for itself. Go out and make something great. And if people don't like it, well, go back to the drawing board and keep going, because you're only going to get better as a filmmaker like that. You're not going to get better by responding to every single person who criticizes your movie on Twitter.
Yeah.
Or X, whatever the heck it's called these days.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
And yeah, and I was just gonna say, like, you know, and on top of that, like, you know, he's not only doing all this stuff like with, you know, from a narrative perspective, like from a technical perspective too, like he's also, you know, doing so much to help the industry, you know, evolve and do cool things. Like, you know, he's, you know, I think because of what he did with the Odyssey, shooting it like on IMAX cameras on 70 millimeter, like, you know, it's really grown like the whole approach he made to the Odyssey is like really like becoming popular. Like, you know, people are like, we want to see more of this. And like, you know, the fact that he pulled this off is a miracle.
Yeah.
And
they're able to figure out a way to muffle the sound from the IMAX cameras. They were able to invent a blimp so they could fully shoot the film in IMAX. That's incredible.
Yeah.
What is it like? Problems is the key to efficiency or something like that. I'm butchering it right now, but something like that. Like difficulty is the key to ingenuity. Something like that. I'm drawing a blank on it.
Yeah.
I
know the quote, but like I see where you're coming from. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about the cast before we wrap up here, before we give our final thoughts. Again, Matt Damon was fantastic in this. I mean, I know Matt Damon is, a lot of people criticize him for being like the typical like movie star looking kind of guy, but like I have always believed Matt Damon is like a far better actor than most people give him credit for. And if nothing, I hope people walk out of this movie thinking like, dang, Matt Damon still has got it. Because like I was expecting great things from him, but even I wasn't expecting the lengths he goes in this movie. Like he is Odysseus. Like even by the end of the movie, I think my favorite scene is the end fight scene with the competition with the arrow, and then him just like John Wicking the entire suitors in that room. That was incredible.
Yeah, or like the moment like when the score lined up with him stringing the bow and the do boom.
Yeah, and Penelope recognizing that, knowing that that was Odysseus. Oh, so good. And just for Matt Damon to like that was a masterclass of acting, choreography, directing, blocking. You're cutting back to Antinous like telling like get the spears, get the swords, like you coward. And then Tom Holland is upstairs fighting what's his face, Electro from Homecoming.
The actor's name is Logan Marshall Green, but
Logan Marshall Green, yeah,
and like
I
that
just got that actually. I just remember that he was the first Electro in Homecoming before Vulture killed him.
Yeah,
I didn't. Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and another part about that scene too is that like while that fight's going on, Telemachus is fighting Logan Marshall Green's character, and like that also helps like resolve that subplot of like Telemachus becoming his own man, and like and like his whole coming of age thing too. So like the fact like they were just fighting that, and Odysseus fighting all the suitors, like it's all around just like that's what makes it a great like action sequence altogether.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love Tom Holland in this. I know some people have portrayed him as, or have said like he's like the weakest actor in this movie, and I don't know if that's true because I think he serves his role really well. He is
Hmm.
supposed to be this younger, youthful boy who is trying to prove himself as a man without the help of his father.
Yeah.
And um, Tom Holland does that really well. I mean, you could argue he's kind of typecasted in that role, but like he
Hmm.
is a reason he fits it so well. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I think some of the other casting choices that I thought were really well done were so Travis Scott who makes a cameo as the bard in the movie. I know people will think that's goofy, and and like be like, how does what does Christopher Nolan see in Travis Scott? Like, I get like some people think it's a weird combination, but I think honestly, I surprisingly think it's fit. I think he fits the part because like when you think back on like what the character that he's going for, I think bards are like storytellers, and like and I think like the key thing to telling a story, to being a good storyteller, like be good at telling stories, is like you gotta have like a commanding voice, so you gotta have a commanding presence, and I think Travis Scott really proved that here, like just like the fact like the way he says a face, a fleet,
Mm-hmm.
and like just like like he's getting everyone's attention, and like just like the way he went about it, I think was just really well done. On top of that, the music, like the song he made for the movie, is also like were
It's
very
pretty
good too.
pretty dope. Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, because it is Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, I actually didn't hate it. It's a little jarring at first. I was like, wait, am I watching Tenet Part 2 or am I watching The Odyssey? But at the same time, I I actually didn't hate it. I thought it was pretty okay. Of all the controversial casting decisions this movie makes, I think Travis Scott was frankly the least um uh controversial in my opinion. Um I I do think that I did have a problem with like the diverse casting choices only because I don't think it was an organic choice. I found that it seems like Christopher Nolan did that to qualify for the Academy Awards, which I think is not necessarily Christopher Nolan's fault. I think it's the fault of the Academy. And I think it's I don't use this word a lot because I just think it is just overused. But I think in trying to not be racist, I think the Academy is being very racist and forcing people to cast people in minorities to be in their movies, especially historical films like this, where it's just not realistic. And so I don't necessarily fault Christopher Nolan on that. But at the same time, it really doesn't bother me. I wasn't thinking like, oh my gosh, what is Himesh Patel doing in this movie? What is Travis Scott doing in this movie? What is Lupita Nyong'o, Zendaya? Like I didn't care. I kind of just like got over it. It's fine. It doesn't really distract. And I love all these actors. Like Lupita Nyong'o is phenomenal talent. Zendaya, I mean, I used to not like Zendaya. I really don't know why. Zendaya has proven herself to be an incredible actress and maybe one of the best of our time right now. I just think she is so funny and so charismatic. She's just fun to watch, much like Tom Holland. But I think if Hollywood is forcing people to make those decisions do a disservice to those actors because it's saying to me, it's saying you're not good enough to be in these movies, so we're going to change the rules for it to be easier for you to be in these movies. And I think that's wrong.
I think the only thing I'll comment on this is that I think all the casting choices, I think, is just Christopher Nolan had a vision in mind for this movie, and he had a vision in mind for certain characters, and I think the way he casted them is how he wanted it to be. And if that's the case, all the power to him, and they worked well. But yeah, I mean there's no agenda at all. It's just he just wanted to cast who he thought was the best fit, and so
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it could be either way. But again, nothing against the cast. I like the cast a lot. Um, uh, it's just an unfortunate controversy, and it's not even that big of a deal at the end of the day. Like the movie's great, even with those decisions in place. All right, well, let's give our scores and rankings out of 5 stars. Tyler, take it away.
All right. So my final thoughts on the Odyssey, just easily one of the best movies of the year, easily one of Christopher Nolan's best. I really can't wait to see what he does next, and I can't wait to see what the rest of the cast and the crew do next. Um, Honestly, I call me crazy, but I give it a 5 out of 5, and it's probably up there with my favorite of the year alongside Obsession. Honestly, so.
Obsession's your number one movie of the year.
Yeah, I might flip back. I need to rewatch Obsession, but because right now it's back and forth between Obsession and The Odyssey for number one. But they're both like neck and neck for my favorite movie of the year, I'd say.
Nice. Okay. 5 out of 5. That yeah, high praise. I gotta see Obsession. I'm probably not gonna get it around to seeing it in theaters, but I really want to see it because wow, good for all those guys making that movie for as cheap as it was and it being as profitable as it is. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just love as a fellow filmmaker, I love to see that. So that's really cool. Good for
Yeah,
them.
it's streaming
Um,
on a Peacock if you have it. So.
I literally just canceled Peacock. Oh man. I maybe I need to cancel Disney Plus for a little bit. I don't know, but gosh, I
Oh
hate
man.
streaming. I really do. That's not entirely true. I really like this movie a lot. I can't say it's my favorite Christopher Nolan movie, but it's definitely up there in maybe the top 5, the top 6. I think uh it is rich in character, and there's so much to discuss and dissect and pull from the movie. Even the controversies, the fact that the movie is in itself controversial, I think is like it is a movie you want to discuss and talk about. I think the controversy just makes it more of an engaging piece of culture. And I encourage people to, people who disagree about the film to have conversations and, hear each other out like we have. And yeah, I don't agree with every choice Nolan made in this movie, regardless of the reasons he made them. But I think he made a incredible film that is going to continue to push Hollywood in the direction of practical, old-fashioned techniques and just something that feels real, tangible. A lot of movies just don't feel real or tangible or they just don't feel like movies. And Nolan is one of the few filmmakers that is really putting the effort to make movies feel lived in and like you can really escape. Like if I had walked in not knowing that was a 3-hour movie, I would not have believed you because 3 hours went like that.
Yeah, it flew by.
Mm-hmm. Again, Matt Damon's phenomenal. Tom Holland is great. For what not little, but what few scenes that Anne Hathaway has. I thought her performance as Penelope was great. I think she was like perfectly cast for that role. I don't think I can think of any other actress now. When you mention Penelope, I think Anne Hathaway. Yeah, it's a great movie. I think it's in my top 5. I don't remember where I placed it, but I think it is. I think it's my number 3,
Okay.
just before Project Hail Mary and Michael, and edging out, believe it or not, Toy Story 5.
Wow. Okay. All right. That's
Yeah. I mean, I
wow.
really
Okay.
liked Toy Story 5, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it was not as good as the previous films, and I just think Odyssey was just a little better.
No. 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 There's no harm or no foul in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do. Yeah. I am curious to see where it falls in your Nolan ranking though.
Oh, I can. I mean, I could tell you. I can pull up my letterbox right now. I did put
Yeah.
it in there because I'm a nerd, and I like to make thousands upon thousands of lists. Do you have a lot of lists on Letterboxd, or is that just me?
Uh, I've got like a few pages worth of lists, I'd say.
Okay, yeah, I have like
Yeah.
almost 100 lists. I'm obsessed. I'm
Oh.
obsessed with lists. Okay, so Inception's my number one. Prestige is my number two. Dark Knight's my number three. Number four is Memento. I might have to revisit this, but I gave Oppenheimer is my number five, and The Odyssey is my number six.
Okay.
So I don't know if I would switch Oppenheimer or Odyssey around. Um, because I do think Oppenheimer is a little more of a complete movie or better movie. I don't know. That's tough. It's tough when a filmmaker is as good as Nolan because it's literally like you have to like pull the smallest of hairs to figure out where his movies rank,
Yeah.
which I guess is a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's definitely a good problem to have for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, that concludes our review of the Odyssey. Tyler, thanks for joining us on your first official solo episode.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Where can people find you online?
So you can follow me on Instagram at Tyler Banark Reviews Movies. You could also follow me on Letterboxd at Tyler Banark Movies, and then you can also I write for FromTheFourthRow.com, so feel free to check us out on there. I'm gonna be I'm heading to year 5 of going to the Toronto International Film Festival here in about a month. The schedule just dropped today, so I'm getting ready for that. Yeah, Vince, thanks again for having me on.
Anytime, man. Yeah, looking forward to seeing what you report back from TIFF. Hopefully there's some good movies to look forward to in the coming year. Is TIFF is for like the 2027 season, right? That's like for the upcoming year.
Sort of. I mean, some movies that play at TIFF will go hit theaters in 2027, but some will also be like coming out this fall and towards December between September and January.
For like award season.
And sometimes even be even like award season contenders. So.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, looking forward to seeing what you report back regardless. Thank you guys for watching and listening. You guys know where to follow me. Instagram at official Vince Salerno and Twitter at TheBigView75 and Letterboxd. I think my name's just Vince Salerno there. And subscribe to this channel. You can check out my short films. You can check out other episodes of Starship Cinema. And we will see you guys next time. Check out the Odyssey. And again, thanks for watching and listening. God bless and peace out. Always the balloons.